WS2812B LEDs will burn out or glitch if you wire them wrong, so in this video, I'll show you the exact way to connect a WS2812B LED strip to your ESP32 Freenove breakout board so that it works perfectly the first time. In this video, I'll be using a Freenove ESP32 S3, a Freenove ESP32 breakout board, a 5V 15A DC converter, one 300 LED reel of WS2812B LEDs, a level shifter, some power connectors, a 100 ohm resistor and some jumper wires, a breadboard, a 1000 microfarad capacitor, and two power supplies, one 12 volt and one 24 volt. The Freenove breakout board for the ESP32 supports both the Freenove ESP32 and Freenove ESP32 S3 boards. You can power this breakout board using the DC power jack with an input of 7 to 12 volts, although documentation recommends a 12 volt 5 amp power supply. The screw terminals and the yellow headers connect directly to the ESP32, and remember that runs at a 3.3 volt logic. The 5VO pins, or the red header pins, connect directly to the external power supply and can support a maximum of 3 amps of current, and the black header pins connect to the external power ground. If you end up using these 3.3 volt pins, remember that it can only output a maximum of 0.5 amps of current. Here's a quick look at the setup we'll be putting together today. I'm using a Freenove breakout board with an ESP32 S3, and I'm sending data through the level shifter to the WS2812B strip. The layout's pretty straightforward once you see it, so let's go ahead and see how it's connected. I'm going to show you the full wiring layout for this project. I'm powering the LEDs from a 24 volt supply that feeds to a DC converter, which steps everything down to 5 volts. And the 5 volt goes straight to the LED strip along with the ground. And you can see I've added a 1000 microfarad capacitor just to smooth out any voltage dips. For the data signal, the ESP32 only outputs 3.3 volts, so I'm running that data pin through the level shifter. It's the SN74AHCT125 level shifter. You'll also notice there's a 100 ohm resistor on the output to protect that first LED. I'm also using a 5 volt header on the breakout board. It's colored red, and it powers the level shifter so that I can send a clean 5 volt signal to the LED strip, and then we connect all common ground so that it shares the same reference. I put an image of the level shifter on the right, unnamed and numbered each pin. You want to power this chip using 5 volts at the VCC pin, that's pin 14, and then you want to connect ground to pin 7. It's also recommended to place a 0.1 microfarad ceramic decoupling capacitor on these two pins closest to the VCC pin. I did not do that, but it is to filter out noise and stabilize the power supply. You should connect the logic signal from the ESP32 to one of 4 input pins. Here's our data sheet for a level shifter. It says each output is disabled when the associated output enable or OE pin is high, and when the OE pin is low, the respective gate passes the data from A input to its Y output. So according to the data sheet, if we want to pass data from 1A to 1Y, we need to set 1 OE to ground. We're going to disable all unused channels by setting OE to VCC, because if we left the unused OE pins low or floating, then its Y output's going to try to drive whatever voltage is on its A input. And if we scroll down to page 5 of the datasheet, we can see that all unused inputs of the device must be held at VCC or ground to ensure proper device operation. That way we prevent the chip from drawing huge current and getting hot. So I went ahead and set all unused inputs to ground. Well, that's about it for the wiring. As you've seen, the ESP32 drives the data through the level shifter so that the LED strip sees proper 5 volt logic, and then the strip power is taken directly from the supply to prevent voltage drop. That is important. It's also important that the ground stay common. You want common ground connection between all your devices. This configuration should avoid flickering and timing issues. If you want to scale that up or if you want to troubleshoot something, just let me know. Here's the code that I'm using for the LEDs in this video. It's just various speeds, twinkles, and patterns. And if you're on the email list, you can receive this code, and there's a few things you can adjust in it for your own project. If you want to use fewer LEDs, you can adjust the number of LEDs here, and then the rest of the code will automatically adjust, but you'll find that some of the effects do look better on longer strips. You can also change the brightness. You'll find that if you use these indoors, you don't need to go full brightness. You can also change the flow speed and acceleration. That's just how fast the LEDs move and how quickly they speed up. And to change a frame rate, you can play around with the delay time. Here's a fun one. You can add more sparkles to your LED strip because you can never have enough sparkles. But if you do increase the number of sparkles, because you're using the white LEDs, you do increase the power draw. If you were to make all 300 LEDs white at full brightness, that would be about 18 amps. Using a 12 volt 5 amp power supply, the board can supply 3 amps of power, which with this type of LED, you could supply power to about 40 white LEDs at full brightness. So you can supply power to smaller LED strips directly from the board, you just have to change a few things. For the code, I'm just going to change the number of LEDs to 10. You can play with other settings, but for this example, I'm just changing the 300 to 10. As far as connections go, the only thing we're doing differently is supplying power from the board directly to the LED strip. And for our chip to work correctly, we keep the same connections for our unused inputs and output enable pins. And for the strip of 10 LEDs powered directly from the board, this is what my connections look like. If you're interested in receiving any of the code or diagrams or datasheets that I use in this video, be sure to check out the description and join the email list. I send all that out with every video. It just makes it easier to share the code with those who are interested. That's all I've got for today. Thank you very much for watching. If you found it helpful, be sure to like the video by clicking a thumbs up, subscribe, and share it with somebody else who may find it useful. And I'll see you again with another video.